Everyday Board Game Podcast with Daniel.
And Daniel.
And good morning, everybody. And by morning, I mean it's 3:30 in the afternoon where we are.
We're way late today. There's been some family issues that you had to take care of, which is fine.
Yep, it is what it is. So we had some appointment things, so we started a little bit later, but that's okay because I posted the question a day late anyway, so I gave everybody a little bit more time to answer the question.
Well, we were getting hit by this one for a while. It's like every so often, hey, someone else posted. Hey, someone else posted. Okay, well, that works.
Yep.
So there's a lot of people that are interested in our topic today. So
Absolutely.
Why don't you explain what we're talking about?
So we posted the question, very simple one. What are some upcoming games that you are most excited about and why? And because we wanted to hear what are some of the anticipated games and why are they anticipated? One thing that I noticed as I was thinking about this list, I was driving a little bit earlier thinking about some of the ones, and I couldn't help but realize, like, I had a whole list of games from Gamma that I saw. I was like, oh, these are coming out sometime soon. Those look really great. And half of them are already out. Okay, so they're eliminated from my list because they're already pretty much out. But the thing is, I was trying to think of, like, obviously, if we were talking about anticipated games, the very first thing that comes to mind, Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Right? And
so I made a rule for myself on this one.
Oh?
So my rule is if it can be a Kickstarter game, but the one that are on my top three, I guess you can say, that I'm looking forward to, are something that I know for sure I can get this year, sometime this year.
Okay.
That I know are coming out.
Thus
I do have Kickstarters in my honorable mentions, but that's more along the lines of when can I get them?
Right. They're all hypothetical.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was kind of the same way. I only have one Kickstarter, and that's on my honorable mentions. And it was the same idea, is that, like, I couldn't help but think, why is Kickstarter being more anticipated? Is it because it's so new? But then, hey, Tabletop Bellhop.
How's it going?
But then I realized one of the biggest things, unlike other games that are released to the community, ones that are part of Kickstarter, you know about them years and months in advance. So, of course, they're going to have that level of anticipation. But then I wonder how many games that I've backed on Kickstarter that I haven't received yet and I just forgot about. Because I knew I was going to get it.
I don't back as many as you do, so I don't really have that many. Other than I just did get my Pledge Manager for Bullet.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Same here. Well, like, I was thinking about it. Out of all the Kickstarters I've done, like, one fairly recently was Dice Throne. I have the whole thing, and Dice Throne is awesome. It's a really fun game, but why wasn't that on my anticipation list? Because I already know I'm going to get it. It's kind of weird.
And then it's also, you own Dice Throne, the season 1. It's just that it's the adventure ones that you're looking forward to, correct?
Right, yeah, and I used to own it. I ended up selling it because I backed the big crate version of season.
So Tabletop Bellhop says, looking forward to on Kickstarter. Could be a game that's coming soon to Kickstarter. Could be a game that's currently on Kickstarting. Could be something you've backed but hasn't shown up yet. Could be something you've been waiting 4 years for.
Yeah, he's got some good points on there. So
yeah.
I going into that, I haven't read through the entire list from our other viewers, but now that makes me question how many of these are going to be Kickstarters, and we're definitely going to be bringing it up if we know that they are.
So a couple of mine have already been mentioned in the comments. I looked at it a little through today.
Oh, okay.
But before we get started to the viewer or the comment section on our Board Game Revolution post, what have you been playing lately?
So I finally got Machikoro back to the table after playing a full campaign of Space Base and all that stuff. We're like, let's go back to the roots. Let's see what Machikoro brings to the table. And we played it twice. First was with just my wife and I destroyed her. And she agreed. She was like, yeah. She was like, it wasn't skill that made me win. I just got a really lucky roll and I got like 30 coins in one turn. And that was enough to make me win. Whereas the second game that we played, my wife actually warned me because we had our son playing for the very first time and said, well, maybe we shouldn't like, can't we take out the expansions, make it simpler for him? Because he's 10, right?
Yeah.
And then I just looked over at her. I'm like, this is your son that you're speaking of. This is my son that you're speaking of. We're leaving expansions in. Guess who won the game? And not even closely. It wasn't even a like I had like 4 of the 6 landmarks built by the time he built his, and the wife wasn't too far behind. But I mean, like, full expansions, full out everything. So that's what
So
I've been
what I
playing.
find funny is that your son is, I guess the best way to describe it is a Loki. He's very good at playing the games, but he's also the chaos factor all mixed into one. So he's very smart and chaotic at the same time.
Not only that, I ended up showing my mom Pandemic. Uh, Let me make sure the mic is on. Yeah, I ended up showing my mom Pandemic, the Hot Zone, North America, and my son wanted to play it with us, so he did, and he was about to win on his turn, and he was like, "Can I just like jump between these cities and then we'll wait another round?" I was like, "Why? You can win right now." He was like, "But I don't want to win right now. I don't want to win yet. It's not. It's too easy." And so he wanted us to risk losing. Now, had I let him, we counted the number of cards that were in the player deck, which was
Yeah.
4 cards left, which means we would have lost by his next turn. This is what I live with now. That's those are some of the many games that we've been playing lately. How about you?
So haven't been playing too many. Of course, I've been doing a lot of solo plays. One of them being I finally finished the second scenario in Arkham Horror, the LCG.
Wow.
Solo. I have played it before with a buddy of mine. We've talked about him before, Bryce.
Yep.
And I've done that one, but this is the first time I've won the second scenario solo, and it was tough.
Cool.
I barely got through it. I think, and I didn't even really beat it. There's 2 mechanics that happen with it. Makes you move on to the third one. The first time I was like, you know what? Let's not move on through the campaign. Let's try it again. And I did better this time around. However, I had to find 6 different things, and I only got 4 of them before time ran out, in essence. And so I got it and moved on. So I'm moving into scenario 3. But the one I really wanted to try and dig into is Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion.
Yep.
I've talked about picking it up and learning the rules and the scenarios and stuff like that. So I wanted to see, because everybody's saying the way it teaches you how to play Gloomhaven is the only way you should show it to people from now on. And so I'm like, okay, so I know how to play Gloomhaven. I play a lot of it before the pandemic shut us all down. And so I'm like, okay, I'll do a solo. I'll run 2 characters and play this. And so I went through the first scenario. I'm like, that's actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
Went to the next scenario where it introduced more stuff into it. Well, that's pretty cool. Third scenario, it introduced the cards of how the monsters are going to move and attack and how they're going to do their things. So I'm like, well, I just finished the third scenario right now. So the second scenario is where it adds the cards, I'm sorry. And the third scenario where it adds where you... oh, that's right, because it's Target exclusive for about a month, and then it goes worldwide in August, I think it's what it is. Tabletop Bellhop was saying he can't wait for it to come out here in where he's at, which is, I believe, in Canada. So still a month
south
or so
of
to
Detroit.
Go. Yeah, south of Detroit. But, yeah, I really enjoy the way it's teaching people how to play the game. It's not overloading them. Like, when you first get into Gloomhaven and you first start playing it, you're like, oh, God. And there's so many rules and so much to learn and so much going on.
Yeah.
This breaks it down. There's a book in there that's the scenario, not the scenario book. It's called the, here, I got it right next to me. Let me grab it. It's called the...
Supplemental guide?
Learn to Play Guide is what it's called. And so the way this does it is... it gives you the scenario rules. It tells you the story in the beginning right here, and then when you open it, it's got the scenario rules, how you're supposed to set up the game, put your stickers on the board and stuff like that. And then you keep going in and in and in and in. It teaches you how to set up your actual game, the scenarios pages and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
And it breaks it down how things are going to play. So like in the first scenario that you're playing, the bad guys, which I think are the Vermling Raiders or something like that, all they do is move one space, We're gonna have to record a new FAQ read through. Nice. So Dark Elf in here is also the co-host with Tabletop Bellhop on their podcast.
Welcome, Dark Elf. Thanks for joining.
And so I love this Learn to Guide. It is phenomenal. Like I said, I've gone through 3 scenarios. I'm working on the fourth. So it teaches you how to play the scenario. And then after you're done with the scenario, it tells you what to do after you complete the scenario, how to upgrade your characters and add cards, learn how to play. So like the first couple scenarios, you play with 6 cards. And it actually has script how the cards work.
That's cool. Okay. I'm looking forward to that. That's very similar to Legends of Andor.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So the first 5 scenarios are basically the learn to play scenarios where it introduced everything. And it's funny because if you go through like the table of contents of the learn to play guide, it tells you in each content, okay, this is what we're breaking down. And now here's where it is on the page.
Right. That's true.
It is possible because the Learn to Play guide is amazingly well done.
Very cool. All right, so let's get into the list from our viewers, and of course, Dark Elf and Tabletop, and anybody else who's joining us. If you have any other games that you would like to bring up and talk about what are anticipated on your radar, let us know. And Daniel, I think you and I, if we see a game that we know, I'm just giving you a preface. I'll go ahead and start. If we see a game that we know about, we'll feel free to bring it up. But I do actually know about the first one, which is from Kirk. He says, Final Girl. I love the mechanics, and I'm a sucker for slasher movies. So are you familiar with Final Girl?
Yes, I was just recently. Is it on Kickstarter or just recently on Kickstarter?
It recently ended, yes.
Yeah, so I saw it. Again, a lot of the stuff that I watch is board game stuff on YouTube, including Dice Tower,
Sure.
And they actually, on one of their crowd surfing, they talked about this.
Yep.
And I was intrigued by it. However, I was already into Kickstarters at the moment.
Yeah.
So I was like, but yeah, no, it looks cool. It's
Yeah.
like a slasher flick, but it's like a solo game, is it not?
It is. So it's based off of the Hostage Negotiator work. So which is a game that I actually quite like. It's up there as far as really good solo games. And so Final Girl takes that same idea, the same general system, as far as, rolling dice, getting more cards, getting conversation points in Hostage Negotiator, and it turns it into a slasher movie. So they had all sorts of different boxes that you could buy for it. One would be the base game, which has all the base components, and then each one that looked like a VHS container would include all the components for that specific scenario. So in order to get all of them, I think there was 3 or 4, and it looked really cool. I was broke at the time, based on the 2015 movie. I don't think so. I think it was
not
its own
exactly
IP.
sure about that.
Yeah, but it looked awesome. I liked Hostage Negotiator.
The art looked really good too.
The art looks phenomenal. It's a pretty true system, and who doesn't want to play more solo games right now? But I hope by the time that, I don't know how I can say this in a good way, but I hope we won't be playing solo games by the time that game comes out.
So, I will still be playing solo games. I enjoy solo games. If I'm stuck at home and there's nothing going on, the wife's ignoring me because she's in the room watching TV or something like that,
Sure.
and I'm like, well, I want to play a game. I have solo games, and I love that, especially the Stonemaier solo system. That's a very smart system that I really enjoy, the Automa.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of Stonemaier, Automa
this
systems.
might be on someone's list later on, but Kim says, Pendulum. We love the publishing company and have many other games in our collection, plus we're from St. Louis, so supporting local and all.
That's awesome.
Oh, okay, so Final Girl looks like it's based on the comic, which the movie is also based on.
Oh,
Okay.
cool. Awesome. Thank you for giving that heads up. Yeah, Pendulum.
Yeah, I don't know whose list it's going to be on, but don't worry about that shelf behind me.
Yeah, we'll talk more about it later. I mean, you always reference the shelf. I feel bad because my window covers it just slightly. So
That's right. Okay, we're good.
Every time you reference Stonemaier games, you're pointing at Dr. Panic. Which, I'm sorry, Daniel. I know.
God,
Yep, I know. But no, I mean, Stonemaier, it's climbing in my radar. I'm liking it. This one looks awesome, and I love that name, Pendulum. That's There's
Yeah,
something
no.
about
So,
that. It's very thought
Tabletop
provoking.
Bellhop added it's a slasher story about the final girl, the last survivor. So
Perfect.
I'm gonna have to actually look into that comic book because I do read comics.
Yep. Omar, he listed off a few games. One is Dwellings of Everdale, or
Uh,
Evervale, Elder Vale.
Eldervale.
Sorry.
I'm looking forward to it. Our buddy Dom should be getting that because he kickstarted it. So
Yep.
hopefully, if we do make our game nights a once a month thing, this way we can quarantine. We'll see what can happen.
Right. Exactly. Guards of Atlantis 2. I've not
Huh?
heard of
I
that,
didn't even
nor
know
the
Guardians
first
of
one.
Atlantis won.
Right. Exactly. Midara, which I've heard about for sure.
Oh yeah.
Dead Reckoning, which just went on Kickstarter yesterday and hit
I
its
saw.
funding in 15 minutes.
Well, it's AEG for one thing. It's John
True.
DeClaire for another,
Yep.
and it's Pirates for a third. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it looks awesome. It's a card crafting system. It looks super
yeah,
cool.
it looks good. I watched the Dice Tower preview of it with Mark Street,
Right.
and I thought, yeah, it looks really good.
Yeah. Now, full disclosure though, I am backing two games currently right now that both came out yesterday. One is Ascension Tactics and one is this. I don't have either of those on my lists because
Yeah.
it's just been kickstarted. Not that I'm not anticipating it. Arena and Contest and some others, Omar concluded.
All right. So Pierre says he's looking forward to the Belgian beers race because one, it's Belgian, because beers,
Yeah,
and because it's made by people he knows, and also because he's tested it and it rocks.
cool. Yeah, I've not heard of that one.
Nor have
Stacy
I.
says Sankokushin, and then Krista replied, "Tell me more," because I've never heard of
Yeah.
that either.
So Chris said Tiny Epic Pirates because they love Gameland Games, great company that has excellent customer service and make quality games.
Mm-hmm.
They're also a big fan of Tiny Epic series and nearly have them all and play them quite frequently, as well as they travel a lot. So games with a lot of gameplay packed in a small box are ideal for them. They're also looking forward to Tiny Epic Dinosaurs, but they particularly love the the pirate theme.
Yep. And Tabletop Bellhop said Kickstarters I'm looking forward to Garinto from Grand Gamers Guild and Shadow Kingdoms of Valeria, the new Daily Magic game on Kickstarter.
Yeah, I just saw Rado's run through of that, and actually it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, the Valeria games, I've met the people at Daily Magic. They're really passionate about games, and yeah, you can tell that they really put a lot of effort into it.
And Dark Elf says he wishes he could justify backing Rallyman Dirt, the sequel to Rallyman GT. I know of Rallyman. I haven't played it personally, but
Yeah. It's
I
fairly
can
new.
understand.
It's fairly new on BoardGameArena.com, so it's worth giving a shot. Taylor says Daybreak, the sequel to Darkness card game.
Rick says Lions of Lydia easily. Some of these games I've never even heard of.
Yeah, I haven't
that's why
heard
I
of
like
the
doing
majority
these
of these.
posts.
Yeah. Tina says Degrees in Darkness by Weird Giraffe Games. I play tested at PAX Unplugged last year and loved it. Weird Giraffe Games, I think they are the ones who make Fire in the Library and a few others along those lines.
Tabletop Bellhop loves Daily Magic games.
Absolutely. I only own 2 games from them and both are on my shelf of shame. In the same box.
Yeah, pretty much. Mayara says Chernarus Adventures. I already finished the Arena, the contest campaign, and I really want to continue it.
That's awesome. So yeah, Arena the Contest. That's the what was said earlier too. Jason says Holly or Holy, I don't remember how to pronounce it. I
think
did
it's Holly.
see this on Kickstarter. It really does look gorgeous. He said it looks gorgeous and gameplay seems really light and easy yet pretty strategic. Deep over time. Floodgate has made some great games in the last couple of years and I can't wait to see what the next one will be like. Have you seen this one?
I have not.
This cover is one of the most gorgeous covers I've ever seen in my life. Holy is the it's a paint festival where basically people have a big street paint party.
I
and
did
they,
see this. Yeah,
Yeah.
That cover is really nice.
Yeah, and you have a multiple layer transparent board and
Yeah.
paint, I don't know if it's paint or if it's dust or whatever, but it travels downward as it settles. It's super cool.
And Dark Elf suggests that we give Rallyman a try on Board Game Arena. That's where I learned it, and it's a great implementation. Cool.
Yeah, we will. Sounds good to me.
We've learned that we prefer Board Game Arena when it comes to playing online games rather than Tabletop Sim. Well,
Yep.
one, I don't own Tabletop Sim because I don't want to pay the money plus all the extra money to buy some of those games.
Right.
And then, or wait, is it Board Game Simulator? Whatever the one's on Steam.
Yep. Yeah. Tabletopia is also.
Yeah, and Tabletopia is another
Yeah,
one.
it's okay.
It's just the mechanics are cool, but trying to learn those mechanics while learning a new game is just a bit iffy.
Yeah.
And then Krista says Mariposa, Elizabeth Hardgrave Goodness, Calico, which is cats and quilts, and Holly, which you were saying, and Control. Julio Nazario is a designer to watch. So, speaking of which, I was watching Tabletop Bellhop's podcast last Wednesday, and they were talking about a cat game. And I'm like, I need to give this to you for a gift. I think it's like Super Cat Fight or something like that. And it's got like Antoine Bauza and a bunch of people.
Nope. You don't need to. You really don't need to. Nope.
Yeah, no, I need to get you that cat game to go with all your other cat games. And your cat.
What cat? Like, I haven't seen it in days. It's fine. It's not a bad thing. I didn't realize that Holly and Control were both by Julio Nazario. That's cool. Control does look cool because we were talking about it last week, or earlier this week on the Pandasaurus breakdown.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Super Cats. That's what it was called. And it's from the op.
Josh says Giga Robo because giant robot combat. That's pretty funny. That Giga Robo
cool.
sounds fun.
Me personally, I'd rather get the giant robot combat. Sounds cool, but I'd rather get the Godzilla game from Prospero Hall because giant kaiju combat.
Right, exactly. So, yeah, let's just jump right into it, I feel. We could talk about some of the games that we are anticipated.
Yep.
Or do you want to take a quick break before we continue?
No, I'm good to go.
Okay. Sounds good. So, as I said earlier, I didn't put any of my any of the 2 Kickstarters that I'm currently backing as if there's still the possibility of it being funded or not, which technically, I mean, they're already funded, right? But they haven't been confirmed.
Yeah.
So I just don't have it in me to put it on my anticipated list.
Also,
although Dead Reckoning looks awesome.
Yeah, it comes down to Kickstarter. I mean, I've seen where games are funded and they cancel it because they're not expecting the funding that they wanted.
Right.
And so I'm like, I get why some people, why you wouldn't want to put that on the list. I don't see AEG or Stoneblade really doing that, but yeah, I have seen games where they funded, they're going to meet their goal, and then right before it's supposed to end, they cancel it. And it's like,
right. And AEG is doing something very interesting right now that I've noticed with Dead Reckoning. They're not doing necessarily stretch goals or unlock add-ons necessarily. They're doing like daily reveals, which I haven't seen in Kickstarter very much at all.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. Yeah, I'm okay with stretch goals if it's like I've said this before on other games. If the stretch goals are enhancing the base game for everybody, plus there's no guarantee you actually get a game. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And so for me, I made a rule for this topic is the games that are the top 3, because we always do 3 games and usually about 3 honorable mentions or something like that. Right. The top 3 games are games that I can get this year. I know more than likely for not, except for my number 3 game, that I could get it this year. I did have some Kickstarter games on my honorable mention. One I'll mention in a little bit, but other than that, I know the ones I'm anticipating are ones that I can get this year.
Okay, cool.
Maybe.
Now, I'm confirming one of mine because I hadn't heard if it was confirmed or not. I heard it was speculative, but I want to make sure that it's you're able to buy it. Because I don't know if it's a specific one.
Tabletop Bellhop says
Good.
The Terraforming Mars Kickstarter did the same thing where they just did daily reveals of the new promo cards. And yeah, that's true. They did do that.
Awesome. So then, are we ready to get into our honorable mentions?
Yeah, I'm ready. You want to start, or do you want me to start?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start. The first one that I wanted to bring up was one that, so this is why I put it as my honorable mentions, because it's one that we were researching and one that we like, but it is showing up already on some shelves, and that's Sonora.
Ah,
Yeah, because it's really
that
just
did
right
not
there.
make my list because it is already starting to come out. You
Right.
could pre-order it for the end of June.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So I mean, while it's not available fully, it's in a
Hmm.
lot of places it is. So Sonora, it's a flick and write game from Pandasaurus Games. It looks super cool. I love the design. I love the look of it, and I've always liked dexterity games, and I like roll and writes. So it's super cool.
Yeah.
Um, I'm just looking forward to Sonora by Pandasaurus. That's why it's my honorable mention.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you on that one. I am looking forward to it. I am going to pick me up a copy. But I really enjoy that cover. That cover is gorgeous.
Yeah, yeah, it
Oh
is.
my god. It tells you nothing about the game other than that it's in the desert next door to us.
Yeah,
That's about it.
it's pretty. It's a pretty looking game.
So my honorable mention here is I don't even know if it's coming out this year. They've just been teasing it. Uh, Tabletop Bellhop was saying he was hoping to try it at Origins this year, and that would be Sonoran.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get it. And I understand why they're announcing all these games right now because it was supposed to be Gen Con season. This is when people were supposed to get it in
Yep.
Origins, and this is the
Yep.
big con season. So it's like,
Oh well.
oh yeah.
Yep.
So my first on this list is actually a collection of games.
A collection of games.
Yep.
Um,
Can you guess what it is?
it's not one game in a series. It's a collection of games.
Yeah.
Oh, was it the Matchstick Euro games that were announced a while back?
No, but you're close. It is the Stefan Feld
The City,
City
collection. Yes. Oh, that's so good. Why did I not think of that? I
Uh,
think it's
I
because they
know a
just
lot
don't
of these
have
aren't
info.
really they're like reprint, or some of these are like reprints of his old games. There's not really
Right.
going to be a lot of like newer games, but man, if they can re-release like Bruges and stuff like that, where everybody's talking about how good
Mhm.
those games are, I want to try them. They're just too expensive to buy right now, and so if they get re-released in the City Collection, I'm looking forward to it. I'm a Feldian. I'm not going to lie. I have a bunch of Feld games behind me.
You're welcome.
I'm in the big box set for Merlin.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm really looking forward to these. I really want to get them.
Yeah.
And Tabletop Bellhop was saying that Sonoran is a try before he buys for him.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's a good point. I've been following the Queen updates and all that. That's a really good pick, Daniel. I will hands down 100%. I feel dumb for not thinking of that one. I think it's just because I don't know the info for it, which is why it didn't pop
That
into
was
my head.
one of the first things that was on my list.
Right. Yeah, if you're already a Feld fanboy, as we are,
Yeah.
Tabletop Bellhop, look at Queen Games, the City Collection. And they are announcing 4 games. Some might be reprints, some might be brand new, some might be rethemes of classic Feld games.
Yeah, they
They've been
haven't
teasing it
really
like
announced
crazy.
too much of what's going into it. All they've really released is a picture of like with all 4 games they make a city skyline.
Yeah. Now, I'm not gonna lie. If they within the next month, if they release this on Kickstarter, I'm backing out of my others. I have to. I like the others look so good, but I gotta do that. That looks so good. All right, my number 2 honorable mention is Bullet by a good friend of ours, Ithri. He shows up here, designed it. I've played it. The only reason it's an honorable mention is because it. I don't really have a good reason why it's only an honorable mention because because I'm already experienced with playing it. You know, I already understand it. I already know how much I'm gonna like it,
Yeah.
so the anticipation is less for me, if that makes sense. But
No,
yeah,
I get it.
Bullet looks phenomenal, and if you watch video game YouTube channels, which of course, what board games don't, what board game players don't. If you watch channels, I was watching a video from a guy named Daniel Ibertson, and Daniel Ibertson, he does a lot of like Kickstarter updates and video game reviews and all this stuff. And he's a good, honest, critical thinker, and he gave Level 99 a shout out. And it even had Josh and Brad from Level 99 like as a quick clipping. And so 14,000 views in a day, and he was like, "Oh goodness."
Wish we had that kind of success.
We will one day. We just gotta keep it up.
So I
So
am looking
Bullet.
forward to it. I did back Bullet. But my next game on this list is another game that they came up with, not really I3's games itself, but
Uh-huh.
another one that I found out only when we were talking about it with them. And that is, I don't even know is this their game? And that's Cinder.
Cinder, yeah, from
The dating
Smirk and
simulated
Dagger.
Smirk and Laughter, yeah. And so I only found this again because we were talking about it with I3 through the chat, and then again through with when we interviewed Kurt. About how this is like a dice manipulation, dating. You're trying to match up the best, and you don't want to get burned by the dragons. And it looks like a fun little filler game, and so I'm really looking forward to that one.
Cool. And my last honorable mention is it. So information of it was revealed a couple days ago, and I don't know if it's even true or not. But you'll understand why I'm doing this.
Oh, I know which one you're going with here. I know.
Take a guess.
It's Pandemic Season 0.
Pandemic Legacy Season 0, and that even if that's a hoax, right? Even if all those videos that everybody's popping up is a hoax, and it's still Pandemic Legacy Season 3 that eventually comes out, who cares? I want it. I so want that. But my wife was almost in tears when I showed her that video. She was like, "What? That's a thing? What?" And when my wife gets excited about an anticipated board game, like, need I say more?
Yeah.
So that 100%. I'm looking forward to that.
The only reason it hasn't gone on my list is because I haven't even played Season 2 yet, and I don't know if it's real or not. That's why it's a bit on the iffy side for me, because it hasn't been really confirmed from Z-Man. There's just been people talking about it, and there was a leak on Reddit. But yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So
cool.
This is my token Kickstarter game. It hasn't finished kickstarting, but as you can see right above my head over there, I have Role Player right above my head.
Yeah.
Fiends and Familiars expansion, the big box set. And I am really looking forward to the Role Player Adventures. Another reason why it's on my honorable mentions and not on my list is because, one, it hasn't finished kickstarting, but Thunderworks has a track record of actually getting their stuff done.
Yep.
And it's not even going to come out till probably this time next year.
At least,
just with all the delays that could happen, stuff like that. So
Sure.
it's going to take some time to get there. But yeah, I am really looking forward to this. I love Role Player. It's probably one of my favorite games. And Role Player Adventures gives me something to do with the character I created in Role Player.
That's awesome. Very cool. Yeah, and very good marketing. Yeah. And once again, shout out to Keith Mateka for joining us last week. Yeah, last week. Yeah, that was super cool though. So that's it for our honorable mentions. Before we get into our let's go into our list now of our top 3 most anticipated games coming up soon. So, who would like to go first here? I don't mind either way.
I'll go ahead and go first. So,
okay.
This one here is one that I don't know. Just to mention in our chat real quick, during our break, I was talking with our chat, Tabletop Bellhop and Dark Elf, who was in here with us, and they were talking about Cyberpunk Red, which is coming starter box, and it's an RPG that Tabletop Bellhop is looking forward to.
Very cool.
He doesn't know if it's new but it's new to him. So yeah, I'll count that.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
So, anyways, back to my first game on my list here combines 2 things I'm looking forward to, and I hope it comes out this year. It should be. That's everything I said. It is actually a Kickstarter game that should be releasing. It's my favorite mechanic, which you know what that is, or mechanism.
Worker placement?
Yep.
Okay.
And it's one of my favorite themes, history.
Historical worker placement. I know we've talked about this. I just don't remember off the top of my head what it is.
It's coming from Academy Games. It's called One Small Step.
One Small
and it's
Step.
about
Space
the space
exploration.
race between the Soviet Union and the United States of America.
Yeah.
Once I saw this, I was like, okay, I have to get this. I backed it right away. It's supposed to be coming this year, so we'll see what happens.
Right.
But yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting this to the table.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a good pick. I can't wait till you get it so I can play it. But that was not on my list. My number 3 is one that I'm very, very much anticipating. I I heard about this a couple months ago, and I wasn't quite sure. They didn't make a formal announcement of it yet. But I will tell you, it's an expandalone sequel to one of the games that I have already, and it's an IP that I absolutely love. Do you know what it is?
No, because you don't like a lot of IP, so it's confusing me.
Exactly. So what IPs
the
do
one
I like?
IPs you do love, you don't like the game company that produces those games. Jasco.
Are you talking Evil Dead?
Yep.
No, so actually the Evil Dead game does look pretty cool, but that's not the one I'm thinking of actually, because Evil Dead 2 is already out. People have it.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm
available for
saying. That's
sale.
the only IP I can think of that you actually
Yeah.
like.
So my number 3 pick for most anticipated games is Funkoverse Game of Thrones. Oh my gosh. Like, okay, if you're a Game of Thrones fan, you gotta try this. It has Daenerys, it has Jon Snow, Arya Stark, and the king, the White King, the main White Walker.
Yeah.
Yeah, is it the Night King?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of sad that they didn't take the opportunity to put at least one Lannister in it. I get why they put Arya and Jon Snow and Daenerys, but can you imagine like having Jaime Lannister or maybe even Cersei or something?
Oh, you know there's gonna be more. Come on, this is.
I hope. I hope
this is-
there is.
It's Funkoverse. Yeah, they're gonna have it. My only issue with Funkoverse is the pops. I cannot stand the pops, the bug-eyed, soulless creatures that they have on the map.
I get that. I mean, you could just as easily like replace it with actual figures from that and just claim it.
Oh yeah, but
Yeah, you're right. It's not the same. But I that doesn't bother me at all. And the fact that when they announced Game of Thrones version of it, I was like, okay, all right, everybody just calm down. Let's all be friends here. Like, I can't wait to fight like Daenerys versus the Kool-Aid Man versus a shark from Jaws. Like, like just think about that combination and how absurd it is. I love it.
Dark Elf said Cyberpunk Red is the RPG prequel to Cyberpunk 2077, which is a new video game that's coming out from CD Projekt Red, and will be a fresh off the presses when it shows up.
Very cool. Yeah, and Cyberpunk 2077, isn't that the one with Keanu Reeves in it?
Yeah, that is.
Bonus point for me since I don't know anything about video games.
So, I agree with you. Funkoverse it is exciting that they got the Game of Thrones license, but I prefer Unmatched. If I'm going to have to compare that to another game, Unmatched is the one I'm going to go to.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I wish that they had the same IPs that Funko has.
Oh yeah, well they do have Jurassic Park apparently.
Yep,
they both have that.
They both have that one, but then, I mean, dinosaurs versus sharks. Like, I love that versus a Golden Girl, and you have a chance. Like, like just the absurdity alone is what makes me appreciate it, and that's why I like it.
Funko is becoming the new Unmatched. Yeah, I don't disagree. I think the gameplay in Unmatched is much better. I want to get the new big box expansion that Unmatched has coming up. It's the Cobble and Fog.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to get that one because it's got Dracula, the Invisible Man, and you can see it above my head. I'm a big Universal monster movie guy, but it also has Sherlock Holmes and who is the other one? Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Oh, that's cool.
So I want to get that one.
Yeah.
So my number 2 is a game that was mentioned in the audience pick.
Is that the Elder Vale one?
No. Elizabeth Hargrave.
Mariposas, yep.
I'm a huge fan of Wingspan. I really enjoyed the way that game works. And seeing this one and watching it, and again, AEG is coming out with this one, and I enjoy... so Tabletop Bellhop says, Unmatched is the better gamer's game. Funko is better for everyone game. And I don't disagree with you with that at all. I agree. Funko is better for everyone. Unmatched is the better gamer's game.
When I get Game of Thrones, I'll bring it over, and I know you're going to want to play it. But that doesn't mean that you like it better, right? You know.
Yeah, so I get the gamer games. I think a big part of it too is I prefer the IPs that are in Unmatched. I mean, you got
Well, they're not
Bigfoot facing
IP.
Bruce Lee or Robin Hood, or so
Yeah.
I love those classic literature heroes and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. Most of them aren't IP, but like Jurassic Park totally is. All right. Sorry, but go ahead and continue.
Okay, but Mario Poso, Elizabeth Hargrave,
Yep.
she's someone that's got popped on my radar because of Wingspan,
Mm-hmm.
and again because of my love for Stonemaier games. But when I saw this, I'm like, okay, that's interesting. And then I read the description that it's based on the monarch butterfly migration, and I'm like, okay, I'm getting sold more and more because I love these outside the box themes that
Yeah.
people are creating. And it seems like it goes along the lines of the type of stuff that you like. It's all about the mechanism with a theme in there that is just out of so the mechanism works
Yep.
first, and then the theme gets added on. And I think, to me, this is probably one of my most anticipated games in general, not just upcoming. Just I want to play this one.
Yeah.
It's along the lines for me like Western Legend was till I bought it. Is that I really want to try it because it's a Western game, and I really want to enjoy a Western game. And then, so this one is like, it's so different. I want to try it. And so I'm really looking forward to it.
It sounds very interesting. And they're also coming out with Truffle Shuffle by Elizabeth Hargrave from AEG as well. So that sounds like that one's going to be on your radar too, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I still want to pick up Tussie Mussy because I heard that's a really... And what really put this on my radar a lot is when we interviewed Jamie Stegmaier, and he says he tried a prototype and it was a really good game. It just didn't fit the Stonemaier feel.
Yep. Cool. That's awesome. All right, my number 2 is a game from WizKids. It's a roll and write game, which I very rarely get excited about roll and write. But this theme is absolutely something I grew up with and I loved. You're looking around like crazy. It's like a roll and write from WizKids has a dry erase board. So it's not a permanent roll and write. You just have dry erase boards. There is 4 separate maps that 4 different people can play at a time, and that is Super Skill Pinball.
Oh, yeah.
A pinball roll and write sounds amazing. And not only on top of that, because I love pinball, I really do. That's the one regret that I had this year when I went to Vegas in early March, is that I didn't get to go to the Pinball Hall of Fame. It's the one regret that I have. But yeah,
you'll always get back to Vegas. Don't worry.
Yeah, one of these years I will. Super Skill Pinball. Basically, the idea is that you have a pinball and you have different sectors of the board, and so when you launch it, you can let it go down as far as you want. But there's different parts of it and different skill shots and different little bumpers and all sorts of doodads that you can hit depending on the roll. But once it gets down to your paddles, you have to launch it back up. And depending on which paddle you use, it's either going to be on the left or right side or on certain parts of it. So finding that combination looks absolutely amazing. I agree with Tabletop Bellhop again. Super Skill Pinball does sound cool and definitely a unique theme, but try before you buy. So I did a printout version of it when all of the lockdowns happened. And I'm not going to lie, I was a little disappointed, but I think I just misunderstood how the rules explain it, and I hope they've cleaned up the rules since then. But, I mean, it's still 100% on my radar. I want to try it. This was the first one that I came up with when making this list. So, Super Skill Pinball by WizKids.
So the first one I came up with for this list was not my number 1. And that's because I don't think my number 1 was announced. But once I heard the announcement for it, I was like, yep, that's going on the list.
All right, let's hear it.
You know what it is. It's been mentioned before in the audience.
Pendulum.
I've talked about, I'm a fanboy for Stonemaier. I'm not going to lie about it. But I think the reason why I'm really intrigued by this is I love worker placement games. I'm a huge fan of worker placement games. I have a bunch on my board behind me.
Yep.
And so but this one is they're taking worker placement in a different way with the real time and the sand timers and the turnless rounds. I don't know how that's going to work, but we'll see. But yeah, no, I'm very intrigued by it. I think I'm actually going to really enjoy it because of the fact the way your worker is locked in there, and they brought back my favorite thing from a worker placement, and that's the Grande worker. He's in this game now. And so I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The game itself looks beautiful. Like some of the minis on there, like I could tell those apart. And I'll say what you will about Stonemaier and like the hype machine and stuff like that. they go out of their way to make sure their games are colorblind friendly. He even says, like in some of his chats and stuff like that, that they use 4 or 5 separate different apps and stuff like that to test out all the different colorblind issues. This way they can make it where it's accessible to everybody who has colorblind issues.
Yeah, they take extra care to make sure that it's. That's why you and I have never really had a problem with the Stonemaier game, as far as I can tell.
No, off the top of my head, of all the Stonemaier games I played, I don't think I've ever had an issue with it.
There you go. Well, that's why it's awesome. Yeah, no, that one. As soon as they announced it, I was like, God, that looks really cool. Sand timers and worker placement, real time, simultaneous turns. Like, oh, that looks so cool.
And so I think what's lucky for you is you already know 2 people who are going to buy it right off the bat. So you're like, I'm good. I'll wait till I buy it or wait to play it.
Tis the joy. There's a sale going on Miniature Market right now, and then I was looking through. I was like, "Ooh, I would like that game and that game and that game." Oh wait, all of my friends either own it or are buying it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I only had like 1 game left in my shopping cart, and it was one that you own. So I was like, maybe I won't buy anything today.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. I do love Stonemaier games. I'm one of the few people that actually really enjoy Tapestry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some of the races were overpowered, but hey, what can you do? He went in and modulated it. He's got an expansion coming out for it that I'm looking forward to as well.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, when you get that expansion, we'll have to play it again for sure.
Oh yeah.
And then my final one, number 1, most anticipated game, hands down. As soon as I saw it, I know I'm going to buy it. I have a question for you, Daniel.
What's that?
Think about all your meeples, like when they're done, like, say, in viticulture. Like, they're making wine, they're doing back-breaking labor, you know, getting the crops and stomping out wine and packaging it. And then you have games like Lords of Waterdeep, when your meeples are going out to like go on these adventures and battling monsters and all this stuff. What do you think they like to do on their day off?
Play board games?
They like to go to Meeple Mountain. It's a game from Breaking Games. It is a water park theme game based on meeples. There's a giant meeple water slide tower. It's a cube tower that you drop handfuls of meeples into as they slide down the slide into the wave pool. And depending on where they land are different actions that you can build off of. Oh my god, what an original theme. Looks super cool. It has an amazing presence on the board. I mean, Breaking Games is jumping up there. They used to make fairly unique games, but like the combination of this with their Flick fighting game, their dexterity one, that's like a war game with dexterity. Like they're hitting out of the park as far as originality goes. Now, will the game be good? I don't know. I've never going that Meeple breakdancing. So I'm actually working on a prototype of that. We'll talk about that later. Anyway,
there's already a game announced about Meeple breakdancing.
What? That's
what he's talking about. I just saw it on. I forgot to mention that I was going to tag you in the post that I saw it on. It was on one of the things, but yeah, it's Meeple breakdancing.
Then that makes my job easy. I don't need to make it anymore. I was just about to work on the prototype, I think, today. Oh well. But yeah, so Meeple Mountain looks absolutely amazing. Honestly, it looks super fun. I can't wait for it to come out. I don't know any other information other than what I saw at Gamma. But now I'm gonna go subscribe to their website and see if I can get more info now.
Yeah, and Tabletop Bellhop does have a game coming.
Oh, is it the Meeple breakdancing, or do you also have a copy of Meeple Mountain coming? Then I might need to take a trip to Canada. Atlas
Games.
Okay, cool. I will look into that right now then, as soon as we're done with our with our view. So, but that's my number 1. I can't wait. That sounds amazing.
Yes. Again, I'm not saying with these games they're anticipated for us. This is what we like to play. Right. But if you don't want to anticipate, if you want to get games you got on your shelf already played, then knock yourself out and enjoy it.
Nice. Yep. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, that's not... anticipation comes in many different ways. I love unique themes. I love it when I just saw like a game on Kickstarter today. It was something about surrealist dinner party or something like that. It's like this, like immediately the weirder the theme, it captures my attention. I just don't know whether I end up backing it or not. But yeah, that's why I'm looking forward to it. So that was a fun discussion. Good little update of of what's to come. Stick around with us until later on this week. We're going to be doing another one of our top 8 debates this upcoming Friday, and that is the top 8 two-player games.
Looking forward to it. There are some really good games on this list here, and especially when people are still social distancing with their spouse or loved ones or roommates and stuff like that. These are important games to be doing. Do you want to announce what we could possibly be doing on Monday?
Yeah, very likely. We are in the works right now of getting John D. Clare to join us on Monday to break down all of the games he's designed.
Looking forward to that, especially with Dead Reckoning on Kickstarter at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. So, also, if you're watching us live, hang out with us. Once we come off the stream, you're going to be able to help us decide what we talk about on our next week's Chits and Giggles episode on Wednesday.
Off the recording, because we're going to stay on the stream.
Oh, we're going to stay on the stream. You know what I mean. I hope.
Tabletop Bellhop, please, if you can, make it. If not, we understand. A lot of plans do happen on Friday, so join if you can. Once again, you can see the re-upload of these videos on our YouTube channel at Everyday Board Games 2020, as well as the audio versions on Everyday Board Games podcast on Podbean. I can't speak for some reason.
Right. And if you would like to contact us directly, you can email us at everydayboardgames2020@gmail.com.
As well as finding us on Twitter at EBGPodcast2020.
And I think that's just about it, right? Oh, yeah.
Other than that, watching us live here on twitch.tv, Everyday Board Games.
So, as always, I've been Daniel.
And I've been Daniel.
And you guys have a wonderful day, week, whatever. Play games.
Have a good one.